There is a new type of freedom that awaits us, and it requires a different type of courage. Today, I want to get into the differences of what this next realm looks like that will allow us to experience freedom within and freedom around us in ways that we have not yet experienced. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey as a pathway to remembering your divinity. I am Michelle Worlds, through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Welcome to I'm Perfectly Divine. I'm so glad you are here. And today's podcast, of course, I wanted to lean into this concept of freedom, and I hope this will be helpful for all people listening in. But as someone that is a part of the United States, I'm holding this celebration of 250 years of being a country, which in for many aspects or parts of the world, it's short. But that this country was built on this notion of around freedom, while struggling to honor that freedom for all people, and doing what I do, which is hold the both and to that. And so I'm simultaneously witnessing freedoms and protection around freedom being stripped away, while we try to uphold freedoms for all, and what that struggle looks like. So what's interesting is that, of course, there's research coming out on this. There was a recent Marquette poll where 81% of Americans lack having full trust and faith in our government. So that's kind of like, ouch, right? And then on top of that, there's a recent Gallup poll that reported that being extremely proud to be an American is at its lowest reading since it's been measured over the last 25 years. So another ouch, right? And I'm looking at these findings through the lens of where my expertise lies, which is in our psychology. And I can't help notice how this, to me, feels like a mirror to the way our own internal freedom is feeling more and more lost and manipulated. And so I think this is important to discuss, because one of the biggest ways this is occurring is through our attention. And our attention is being pulled in every which way except for within ourselves. And this is a bigger deal than we recognize, because our attention is such a key component to how free we feel, because this is the aspect that allows us to co-create with the divine. Where our attention is what grows in our life. And so I believe we are the ones, you and me, who signed up to usher in this age of Aquarius, where more and more people are awakening to who we truly are. And this is no small thing either. And it's being able to recognize and take responsibility for how the power of our minds, and in particular our attention, is being stolen from us along with other freedoms. And so, you know the drill. I'm not going to like get really into this, but I will quickly mention how our internal focus is being leaked through the manipulation in all things outside of us, from the external through our phones and the algorithms designed to keep us scrolling, to the external substances in the name of short-term relief of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm that actually inhibit us from building the internal skills that we need to work with our minds rather than numb them, and really work from our psyche within our hearts rather than be have our attention be filtered away. So it's not our fault. It is the outcome, however, of a world that has been taught to emphasize the hero's journey without understanding that there are more journeys to follow. There's more journeys than the hero's journey. So when we when we find ourselves on the hero's journey, which I believe we all tend to go on, it is the sense to, prove ourselves in the external world. And in doing so, we learn to become attached to the external and how it defines us. And because of that, it makes sense that we also turn to the external to remedy our internal struggles. Like we are entrained to look to the external. And if you're like me, who've listened to many a motivational speaker, we've been told things like we have to assert our will to change our lives. And so it's this assertion energy. And there's definitely wisdom in that statement. There's a knowingness that where our attention goes, the focus will follow, right? This is guidance to access our internal power, to be the co-creators with life, so that we can really access that aspect of the divine that we are as co-creators. So I see this as our power of how I frame it as divine, masculine, creative aspect that asserts itself within each of us, regardless of our gender. But without understanding and integrating how I look at what I call the feminine aspects of creation and integrating them in a balanced way, that we've been constantly taught to assert our will at the expense of our inner world. And without feminine wisdom, there's a belief that we can, just shift our attention away from our depression, our anger, our anxiety. If we just continue to focus and remember our power to be able to mentally focus on whatever you want. And again, I honor that there is a co-creation energy, that there is a place for assertion. But what is happening when we try to bypass our emotions, we are going to set ourselves up to fail. We are being told to use 5% of our conscious mind to control 95% of our subconscious mind. And it's not going to work. It requires a lot of willpower and constant forcing of your own will over and over to push past our challenges. That we got to conquer them and overcome them. And again, there's a place for this. I value this. But I also know that this is not balanced with feminine wisdom. And thankfully, more women are starting to understand that there is a feminine wisdom to support them to access their emotional and intuitive guidance. But this is not just for women. And that's where we really want to recognize that men are losing themselves because they're having to constantly assert their will to prove their strength. And then they're losing their ability to be emotionally connected. when the only journey for them is this hero's journey, when it's only the journey of asserting their will. And so in another recent report that Gallup just came out with yesterday, 42% of Gen Z men feel like they are not needed. 42% of Gen Z men feel like they are not needed. And this could not be further from the truth. They are just more likely to suffer getting caught up in that they must be the good, courageous male who shows up and does the hard thing while losing their connection to themselves, that they got to sacrifice their internal world to do this. And again, men and women are doing this, but there's been this unstated pressure on what it means to be a man where this is emphasized. And this sense of feeling lost that both women and men are experiencing is guiding some of us to find ourselves from within by laying down and learning to really lay down our individual will for a higher will to be done, a divine will to be done, for thy will to be done. And this is the will of a higher consciousness that has wisdom that is beyond our own. And we access it by learning to work within the realm of the underworld, of our emotional selves, where feminine wisdom reigns. And this is different than shadow work. This is going much deeper because it requires a different type of skill set and a much different kind of courage. This is a courage that feminine wisdom will bring to have us go to the heart of your depression or your anger or anxiety and understand it in what it is there to support you to truly know thyself. It doesn't mean that we're going to get swallowed up by it, although we might feel that way at first. And it certainly doesn't mean that we're supposed to over-identify with it. But how these emotions are guiding us to gain awareness of the very aspects that block us so we can integrate them rather than overcome them. And there's a big difference. So we all need to know how to gain this inner freedom that is not found through force and pushing and asserting our will, but by skillfully surrendering to what the depth of our emotions are trying to teach us about ourselves. And let me tell you, this is no easy task, especially because we've learned certain skills in the hero's journey that seem in exact opposition of what we have to do in this next realm. Because you are going to be required to face those aspects of yourself that have made you not trust yourself. These are the times that all of us have pushed aside our values in order to win, because you thought that winning was the only way to truly know your worth. Or the times you've lied to yourself saying things like, it's not personal, it's just business. When we know the truth of business is that it is created through actual people. And these people's well-being is either enhanced or hindered through how we conduct ourselves in business. So we've got to be willing to go there within ourselves if we want the world to change. This is the heroine's journey that teaches you the strength of surrender, so that we can ultimately allow divine feminine wisdom to guide you. And this underworld journey is for those who truly want to be free. And the thing is, why I think we've tried to push it aside is because it can be terrifying. This divine feminine aspect will hold you to the fires to burn away what is false in order to refine your soul, to remember your soul and its truth. And there is internal suffering to that. And it only elongates when we try to pick up our arms and fight it like we learned how to do in the hero's journey. And the more we fight like quicksand, the divine feminine is going to sink you if you refuse to surrender. What I will share is that this next phase of the journey that is calling both men and women to go into the depths of this feminine underworld is terrifying. It's not what we're taught. It's not what we know. And we have been so immersed in the masculine hero's journey that the heroine's journey just will require you to lay down everything that you use to protect your heart and your internal world of your psyche, all of it, until it feels like there's nothing left of you. And that's the point. That is how we understand the difference between our will and divine will, by emptying ourselves of our will. And so what you will find in the end, as difficult as this sounds, is a freedom from having to constantly assert your will, because that's exhausting. And the joy and the freedom of co-creating from a love that is both within you and greater than you. This is a call for all of us to surrender to feminine wisdom in order that the divine masculine and feminine can be reunited. And this is what allows, again, we can empty our vessel of our will in order to allow a higher will to work through you freely and undistorted. That's what we are doing. We are clearing the vessel in order that divine will can come through undistorted. And that is when you will feel like, I was lost, but now I am found. This is an amazing grace that is happening from within you. And what's particularly amazing about it is that it cannot be taken away. Once you've gone through these internal fires and sacred alchemical tears to refine your vessel, the eye of the heart has new eyes that hold a balanced perception of what it truly means to be free, a more expansive perception. And so we need men and women on this inner journey. Women can't do it alone. Men can't do it alone. We are meant to support one another to find the way together. Freedom within creates freedom without. The freedom created within is what will ultimately create the freedom in the external that we truly crave. Universal law tells us this is true, as we have learned, as within, so without. Therefore, to receive the outcome in the external that we desire, so deeply desire within our hearts, where there is unbiased freedom for all, we can no longer have biases against the aspects of ourselves that we would rather shove aside. We can no longer judge aspects of our psyche as less than, as something we can use our will to push aside and just ignore. So just like we need one another, we need all aspects of ourselves. And this is the next turning point. This is the next gateway invitation. And when you learn this type of courage to go within, something beyond your will begins to move through you. All the work that you are doing in the heroine's journey is, again, to clear that vessel so the divine has room to be done through you. And in that, you experience a freedom that is beyond what your mind could ever comprehend as possible. And that's what we need at this time. This is the freedom gained through gnosis, or knowing your completed self, that happens when aspects that have been separated are unified again. So we need that unification from within if we want unification in the world. So my hope and prayer is that this level of freedom, may it reign from within, because I believe it is through this unified wisdom that we will truly set ourselves free. All of us, because we will know that what we do for ourselves will also be supporting others to be able to do the same, so that we are all tapping into this power in a way that is less and less distorted, and allow thy will to be done, to bring the kingdom of the divine here to earth to work through us. So if this topic interests you, if there's more about this that you'd like to learn, I'm so excited because I am going to be sharing a special free series. You do have to sign up for it separately. So if you are not part of my community, please sign up for my newsletter, and I will be sharing all about this. It's called Sacred Alchemy, and we discuss the uniqueness to the journeys of the hero's journey, the heroine's journey, and what I call the sacred heart journey. And this series is a map to help you understand where you are within the 3 realms of manifestation according to alchemy. And so I will go into greater depth here. So please sign up now to be on my newsletter so you don't miss this. And I will include that link in the show notes. So I hope this supports you. I hope the freedom that you desire from within reigns free. And thank you again for being a part of this community. Until next time, know that there is nothing to fix, just to remember. I'll see you next week.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual, and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.